or a reading disability or a language barrier. So I've said to Mike, I said, Mike, after he said what he said, he goes, oh, I played it for them and they did it wrong again, after he already went through it. So what'd you say? I could already tell Mike's starting to sweat. Nah, not probably what you would have. I go, Mike, you got to get an answer. You got to just say, why don't you say those words? And get an answer to that. And then I asked them, why would you keep them if they don't? Because unless there's some sort of mental handicap or something you're missing. So when Mike went to this person, he was a nice person. This is not for everybody, right? But you got to help people get over the hump if they want to do it or they want to overcome their fear, whatever. The only way to overcome it, gang, is to get leverage on yourself. I've had experience in my life. I'm writing my book. Hold on to this thought. I'm holding on. I'm writing my book. And in my book, there's a place when I had to overcome something. And there's many times, but one particular. So tune me back into that. So Mike went and talked to this person, and they said with those words, well, I just don't feel like the words would matter to this particular customer the way they spoke to. And isn't this the truth?
Who said that?
Doesn't matter. Just remember, most of them are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the reason they're not saying what they're supposed to say is because the other person on the other end is convincing them they're not interested. And somehow my newer people think, I mean to say these words only when you got a customer that's interested. And that's not the case. So it reminded him when he was 11 and he had a pretty good arm, but the kids at that age were taking the leads off the pitcher. And they were like 1 foot away from second base before the pitcher's pitch even got home. And then Mike would get out of the squat and throw this missile rainbow. That's a contradiction, isn't it? And it would go. Now the guy's already on second base and everybody's watching it. Now, if it happens to go past second base, or even while it's in the air, he might run to third. Right? Right, Mike, back then? I go, Mike, I don't really care about any of this shit. Let these kids run. There'll be a day we'll catch up to them. I said, just do me a favor. When you just come out of that squat, throw it through the pitcher's face. It's just a term for baseball. Throw it through the pitcher's face. I don't care if it bounces 7 times after that. And finally, similar to what we're doing when we're trying to teach people to say the right words, I said, if you don't, I got to pull you. You're not catching. Guess what happened? Guess what started to happen? Yeah. And it bounced 3 or 4 times, but we almost got a guy one time in the early stages of doing this. And Frank will tell you, I got Frank playing one time. He's 12 years old, and he's playing short, and the ball bounces, boom, way up in the air. And now it's a grounder, right? It's going to be. And these kids sit back. I'm going to make this great play. And they pick it up. The guy's already at first base. You're sitting back waiting for it. Son, I told you a million times, I told this whole team, I don't care what happens, but you got to run through that ball. You run through it one-handed and you off-foot it, whatever you got to do. But you do not sit back and wait because they're going to be safe. It doesn't matter anyway. Practice after practice after practice. Win this game 2-1, 5th inning. There's a high chopper to Frank. Guys like rounds the bag. Frank. Sit down next to me, son. You, okay, go. You're short now. Get in there. Kid's playing short. But it gave me an opportunity because I got to put my kid back out there. I said, you got it now? Yes. And then some other person's kid didn't do the right thing. I was able to pull that kid. I wanted to pull that kid anyway. But I had to pull my own first. So next play, though, next time it comes to Frank, boom, comes through a one-hander, boom. We didn't get the guy, right? But there's that connection. If we can convince our people of the same thing, and I don't know what the analogy that's going to work. I'm not sure the analogy, though, is going to get them over the hump. But, yes, coaching. We got to find it. I said to Mike, and this is for you other guys that are going to be coaching. We're always looking for what's wrong, right? because that's how we can teach you how to get better, because you got to fix it. But once they do it right, even if it doesn't get the result, what do we got to do? Point it out to them. So while you're listening to these calls, for the ones that aren't right, what should you be doing? And that's partly my fault, but I'm reminding you now. Look for the ones that do it right. Yeah. Okay? Because I'm sure there's some in there that are doing it right. Right? Sometimes we don't because we're frustrated. All right. I'll go off that tangent. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Whoever's watching me from home on Zoom, bootleg this. I hope it helps you and serves you well. The topic for today, and I'm going to do a short version of this because it usually goes off into motivation, and it's usually 2 hours. We're just going to do goal setting. It turns out I got some team members here, and I want to spend some time helping you understand why goals that maybe you haven't heard before, and then also how manifestation works. Goal setting is one thing, but for me, goal setting is really about manifesting. It's a nice picture you might paint. It's an ideal or an idea, and it's on a piece of paper when you write it down finally. But that's all that it is. It's like we talk about our company's a mirage, right? It's only as good as the people that have wind up coming into it and making it into that. Goals are similar. They're just ideas and thoughts. And then it's the manifestation that takes it from this thought into a being, into a living thing. So when we think about how to, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of different people can tell you a lot of different ways, and they're all probably good. But the basis of it for me, so you understand, it's about manifestation. And manifestation is about a creation through thought, through thinking. Okay? So they say if you can conceive of something, meaning it can become a thought for you, and you can believe that it's possible, then you can achieve it. Conceive, believe, achieve. It's about that simple. Thoughts become things, right? How you think is how you'll be. And not everybody understands that. So just accept it. Thoughts are things. How you think is how you will become. If you think about negative thoughts, or you're anxious thoughts, or you're worried about things constantly, or I just got to get over this hump, or this thing's got to change in my life, it's going to constantly be a worry. You'll be a worry, anxious person. Some of my people have been around me when bad things happen, and I get frustrated for them for a minute because I could tell it's getting them. It's biting them, and they're getting what? What happens to us sometimes? We get crazy, we get anxious, and our minds go wild, imagination. And I'm like, gives a shit. I'm going to curse a little bit. I think cussing can help at times. Who gives an F? Well, Dave, it's easy for you to say because you're Dave Dini and you got all this and that. Listen, thank you. I am Dave Dini, whatever that means, because of how I respond and react and how I think when these things happen. And I don't think and respond based on what I have or who I am. It's because of who I want to be or who I've said I was going to be. And it's hard some days. But you got an option of how to think and how to believe and how to act. And do I do it right all the time? No. Sometimes I let stuff get to me, but you got to move on. There's a guy named Nikola Tesla. You guys ever see some of his stuff or things about this guy? Like an Einstein, like what's the guy that painted Sistine Chapel, and like a Da Vinci, okay? Of his time anyway, a brilliant thought person. And he has this theory or method, if you will, methodology. I've never brought it up before. I've only learned about it recently, but it reminds me of the things that I do believe in, and I like hearing it from another source. And it's the 369 method or methodology. If you want to jot it down, 369. It's a methodology of manifestation. The 3 is for energy. 6 is for frequency. And 9 is for vibration. We can get into all those 3 in another meeting. Just know what it kind of stands for. 3 is for energy. 6 is frequency. And 9 is vibration. And I just believe you know how we talk about thoughts or things, but if you've ever heard me say something that you're dreaming to have, do, or be is already here. It's like up here, maybe. You guys ever hear me talk about this? And you could have 2 paths in your life or 3, and they're already here. It's how you act and think that'll determine which one you tap and which one grabs you. Again, this is a belief, but I believe it. I'm not quite bright enough to understand it, so therefore I just accept. But I've seen it change my life, people. I'll give you one example. I'll give you a couple. One, and I meant to have the pictures in here, and I don't have them today. I wrote down on one little piece of paper that I'm going to teach you how to do. I drew a picture in 1996 of the home I wanted to live in, and it looks like a mansion, and it's a pretty nice size home, and it had circular drive, and the porte cochere, and the columns, and certain doors, and it's shaped a little bit like a castle. And I wrote that. So this is going to be my home someday. And I gave it a timeline. I think I gave it 3 to 5 years. And it took 8 years. And then I was living in it. And if I show you the picture of my home today, some people can attest, and the picture that I drew, and I didn't even draw this home up. I did show my wife who planned the home out. But this is a kid from Levittown, New York, East Meadow, Long Island, whose mother drove a bus, and we moved 9 times as a child. And I'm not saying this to impress you, just to impress upon you. I had thoughts as a kid, don't worry, Mom, someday. I got tired of getting pushed around. That same kid would come to work and say, this sucks. There's got to be an easier way. I know people are cheating. Who's getting fed what when I first started learning how to sell? Somebody had to change my programming a bit because there was no angle. I kept hearing it. I'm like, this is bullshit. There's no angle. Easy for this guy to say. He writes all this and that. And then there was no angle. And then I learned the same thing when it came to getting my body back in shape. The guy who was going to teach me, I'm like, yeah, sure. He's got to be on juice, and he's got to be on this, and he's got to be on that. Like I'm discrediting this person who's living this life. You can't, and I didn't know you can't look like that, even if you do take medicine. How you look like that is a way of living. He just blows it up to another level with what he's taking, right? But he really did have to eat the way he said he ate and drank what he drank. And, it took me a while, but little by little, I get rid of these skepticisms that weren't helping me. And you got to trust in somebody or something, but not blindly trust. The old Long Islander, streetwise kid, kept my eyes open. So back to Nikola Tesla, thoughts are things. You can manifest your dreams through this 369. The vibration, the frequency they're talking about is almost like radio waves. It's in the universe and it's already here. Just accept that. And you could tap in by thinking about it long enough, hard enough. And what he's asking you to do in his version of manifestation is to write down an affirmation, and you can do it for every one of your goals, but write it down this way. It says, I am so happy and grateful now that I am so happy and grateful now that I, ... you fill in the rest. So you're basically saying it, Johnny Hose, like we have stating it in the present as if it's already happened. So I am so happy and grateful now that I have this or have become that. You're stating it as if whatever it is you want has already happened. Okay? Whatever it is, if it's a certain amount of money you want to have, if it's a certain degree, if it's a certain romance, if it's a certain status, if it's a certain thing, whatever that might be, you put it in. We'll get to the goal setting about this in a minute. Now, be specific and be believable. Right? You might question yourself. So don't be sitting there saying, I am so happy and grateful now that I am playing violin at Carnegie Hall, New York, and you've never picked up a violin. That might not be the best place to start with your manifestation. Well, but Dave, you said I could have, do, or be anything. Yes, you can. So don't let me stop you. But make sure you don't tongue in cheek it yourself and say, come on. Okay. It's something that you really, really want and really believe. All right. Now, write this phrase or affirmation or several of them, right? If you're doing it for more than one goal, write it 3 times a day in the morning. Write it out. Write it out 6 times in the afternoon. And write it out 9 times at night. Could you imagine? Got to write this friggin' thing down 18 times a day. But some people will say, Johnny, like, that's a lot. Like this guy we just talked to, Derek. I got to miss sleep. But what made Derek decide it was worth missing sleep? If it was real. If you knew for sure you'd manifest whatever the hell it is you want by writing it down 18 times a day, are you going to do it? 100%. Dave, you're going to run around, hop on one foot, naked. Oh my God. Well, blah, 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 27 times a day and 13 times, at middle of the day in between cars. What? Yeah, I'm in. But you got to be sold, folks, that you believe what I'm saying and you're going to tap in with this. You only have to do it for 21 days. 21 days. Okay. Yeah. Well, think about that. You got 21 days. You got 28 days. I thought about that when that Sandra Bullock movie. I think everything has that thing to it. That's when habits become whatever they're going to be. Huh?
When it actually becomes a habit?
Yeah. Or you manifest it to be real. Yeah. Or become so real to you maybe at the end of 21 days that you start noticing, wow, I'm going to move towards this. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a whole right. That I love the scrolls for that reason. Matt, we talked about that and you know how much John was into it. And it seems like a lot. And then you get started and you stop. You get started, you stop. And man, you owe it to yourself to follow through all the way it's scripted, not because that script is necessarily tuned into nature like Tesla or anybody else. I think there's a different formula for all of us to be successful. Was it you, Jose, reminding me of the thing we say? Like, yeah, it was you. There's a certain amount of repetitions we all have to have at something before we're a master at it, whether that be a canoeer or a pogo sticker or a salesperson or anything. But there's a number in this universe, I believe, for all of us to become a master at karate or MMA or whatever. All right. Goal setting. Let's get to it. And I'll take a little bit of, oh shit, we got to eat. Let's stop there for a minute. I think people want to eat. Go ahead. Shit, we never got the food. Let's go back and then I'll get back. Okay? Yeah, I thought we ate. Yeah, no one got up.
So Nikola Tesla created 369?
I don't know if he created it, but that's what they're claiming. Have you heard of it before?
I have not.
Me neither.
I just watched the documentary.
Really? Vitamin D? All right.
He's like, take 2 today.
You gotta take 1 a day for 2 weeks, and you're good.
You know what's funny? When it was dark yesterday, and I didn't even want to get up. I didn't want to get out, and I'm like, I just got to get outside. And even though the sun's not really out, I felt better.
It's hard though, dude, when you walk out.
I don't even want to move.
It's literally just great.
Yeah, it is great.
You got big bucks, huh?
Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. Now you're getting to the leaves and stuff?
Yeah.
Right. You getting any pointers while I'm talking?
There is one for machine.
Right. Want a pointer?
Yeah.
Hey, I got some fresh fries. Anybody? I'll put them in here. Right, you gotta leave the boxes shut for others.
I tried another one else. That's like the easiest in the world, doing that time. Thank you. Yo, how did you get to work?
There was a card game my relatives always played. They called it baseball. It was 3, 6, 9, wild, and 4. 3, 6, 9, 4. Open, you had to get a 4, 4 to get next run. 3 wild. Can somebody Google longest craps hand ever? I want to be on that freaking table.
When I was last time I was in Vegas for like the bachelor party, I came downstairs like me with there was a week downstairs. Go to his home. So I did lose that too. Everybody and his boss, one guy I know, owns a couple restaurants he worked for. We were sitting there and I was sitting in the chair. And we watched this dude on a craps table. Turn 5 grand. 50. Literally 15 minutes before they came to shut the paid it out.
They made him not play anymore?
As soon as they put his roll, they let his roll go through and they shut the fucking thing down. Over that 4 hours and 18 minutes, 154 rolls. Wow.
You know how sick that
Dude, didn't I have like 30 rolls in Vegas and I lost everything in my cell phone?
154 times the old lady was just sitting
Sitting
there
with
rolling
rolls.
those.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing ever.
We're good at Vegas, dude.
serious?
It works.
My,
Yeah. I took care of it at the, February.
Yeah, back, 10 years ago. Yeah, and then one like, pre-workout first, that's like shit called.
That's all around with, something.
What was the shit called? Swoops.
Jack.
Yeah, Jack, first Jack, was like all types of little plugged up, yeah. Yeah, that stuff was like insane.
You can, die. People were putting it in the pocket.
How many appointments we got on there, Basak?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we only got one.
88.
The kids that are still working, that probably wouldn't be here unless I was paying you, I want you to keep an eye on those computers, okay? And if you would be here on your own time, then keep doing what you're doing. Because I'll have this recorded so you can. I'd love to see us. Well, we only got a half hour left, so I would have loved to see us hit 100 today. We would have hit it for sure. Yeah, we would have. Are you guys ready? You can still eat while I chat. Okay, we ready? All right, so we're starting again. Those of you that are eating and stuff, please keep eating, no problem. I just want to get this down on tape. So one of the things that we'll be introducing to you, which is something I'm sure you've heard before, is a vision board. Your vision board, like manifestation, is this dream board that you put your goals up on or some semblance or idea of them. Because we want to not only hit auditory, which is words and how you talk to yourself, we want to give visual, right? It's one of the greatest senses that we have, one of the most powerful, right? The sense of sight. So seeing what it is you want already on a picture board, like Dave Dini drawing his home, helps you believe that it's already here. All right? That's why the vision board is important. And or drawing it, writing it down. And or writing the words every day so you can see them, but also go through the process. Why is setting goals and writing them down, why is that important in life? John?
I don't know the percentages, but if you write it down, you're that much likely to hit.
Exactly. It's because it makes it real. People say, I don't need to write it down. It's in my head. That's not enough. You need to go through the process of writing it down because now it's as if it's here, not just in your head. It's real. Got it? Write it down. That's one reason. Another reason to have goals It gives you direction. Charlie, want a water bottle?
No.
It gives you direction. If we were to go, I don't know, who's the favorite basketball player for you? Drew, do you have a favorite basketball player right now, or no? How about a football player? Hayden? Sure. What's his name? Wickenden. What team does he play for? Okay. If we took Wickenden, I don't know the kid, but you went to one of his games. Is he a defenseman or forward? Huh? Forward. So if he's a forward and we go, we're all going to hang out, have fun, and they drop the puck, but there's no net. There's no goalies, and there's no net. Nikkanen comes down, dazzles the first D, dazzles another one, shoots, and it banks off the glass. How do you know if you're winning or you're losing if there are no nets and no goalies? How do we know if we're winning in the game of life if you don't have goals? How do you know if you're winning? How do you know if you're losing? So it's important to have goals for knowing the score and for direction. You know, am I moving closer to or am I further from? You know, and of course, to make what it is you wish to have seem real by writing it down. All right. Firstly, this is step one. We're going to get right into it. Hope to be done by 8:30 so you guys have time for your dream boards. And if you don't want to do them today, you don't have to. But we do have glue sticks and scissors and oak tag or whatever you want to call it, poster board, so that you could do them. Dream list. The way it was put to me a long time ago from Tony Robbins in his goal setting workshop, if you were to write out a list to Santa and you were 5 years old and you believed in Santa and that all things were possible, failure was impossible, what would you wish for? What would you dream about? Write it down. You don't have to do it all now if you don't want to, but maybe a couple things jump out at you now. Anything that you wish to do, to be, or to have, you write it down. Dave, I want to be the founding creator of the newest technology to help Paramount go to that highest level in the auto industry and all industries. My name is Matt Valenta, and I am going to be that guy, and I'm be on the cover of New Tech magazine and Paramount and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anything. I want a pool, but that's for my feet. I want 8 other pools for guests in my beautiful big mansion and whatever that might be. Write it down. This dream list, the first time I did one, everybody, so you know, was about 6 pages. If you find that you're at like 3 or 4, just a list on 1 page, you're not using your imagination. It could be about anything you want it to be about. Illegal or legal, whatever it is. Failure was impossible. What would I wish for and dream about? Now, if something is immoral or illegal, the odds of you getting it or maintaining it are probably small because you have an antagonistic force working against you. So we'll get into that later. But first, just write it down. You can decide later whether it's good, bad, or indifferent for you. Now, write down, or the next step anyway, is to put a time next to it. How long should it take to do, be, or have this thing? So maybe one is 20 years. Maybe one goal is 5 years from now. Maybe one goal is 5 months from now. Maybe one goal is 5 days from now. That's okay. Write it down and put a time next to it. Time usually is going to be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years or greater. You got it? Usually like that. But you might have some 6-month goals or 3-month goals, and those are fine to write down too. But I would just keep them all in 1 year if it was me. So you're dating each dream. Now, important, recognize if you are dreaming more in 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year terms. So if most of your goals seem to be 20 years from now, then you need to create and adjust more goals that are in a year. If most of your goals are 1 year, then you're too short, not short-sighted, but short term. Yeah, you're too short term. So you need to develop some goals that are 3 and 5 years from now, okay? Because remember, thoughts are things. When my thoughts go, energy flows and results show. So if I have some focus on a progression, there are things I'll notice today that I'll grab, pick up, and absorb to help me get there. Even if it's a book. You might think, I just picked this book up. No, that book picked you. Okay? Because of what you wrote down. All right. So once you recognize that, I want you to decide on 5 to 10 dreams, which are now goals for this year. 5 to 10 of those dreams that were to be accomplished this year, and write them now as your goals. They don't all have to be work, but some of them might be harder to measure than others. So I would recommend a few of them be work, but they don't have to be. You could, but maybe 1 or 2 should be, because my guess is they're somewhat related to other things that you want to accomplish. All right, so decide on 5 or 10 dreams that are now considered goals for this year. Then I want you to identify, so that would be step 1. Step 1 is dream list. Step 2 is date the dreams. Step 3 is to recognize if you're dreaming more in the short term or long. Step 4, decide on 5 or 10 dreams that are now goals that will be completed in 1 year. Step 5, identify 5 to 10 others that are longer than 1 year. Now, here's where things become work. I'm not saying you have to do all this, right? Kind of, Matt, like we talked about with Og Mandino. Even if you just did it for half the time, you could manifest the same things and maybe accomplish your goals. I'm here to tell you this is what I did, okay, from what I had learned. And it was why I believe I was able to create what I dreamt of. So the next, and I had learned this somewhere else. Write a page or a paragraph as to why, capital WHNY, not for any acronym, just because it's, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're really making a point. Why you must achieve this goal. The why is selling you. And it has to do with the pain and pleasure principle. So, for example, if I were to say to myself, I want to be the founder of a company that influences the sales and marketing world and the lead conversion world. I want to be at the forefront of that in a $100 million company. Why? Because it feels good. What do you think the odds of me attaining that goal are? Am I sold? Am I sold on late nights and early mornings and all day, every day, and traveling the world, missing time with family, and the rejection and going through all the processes and the hard knocks and dealing with people that don't like you and care about you? No, that's not enough. How about, because if I were to die knowing that I had the same capabilities as so many that achieved so much more, and I knew the reason why I didn't was because I didn't work hard enough, because I was lazy, because I didn't want to take care of my family to the level I know I could have, because I remember the little boy that I never turned into the man that little boy was supposed to. And that would be a detriment to my whole life long, knowing I didn't. That's why I have to, Do you think that might be a little bit more to move me and move my ass? So your why, at least for most of us, pain and pleasure principle, is driven off of what? Pain and the avoidance of it. So your why has to be all this freaking pain in your life if you don't achieve this greatness, whatever that might be. And what pleasures do you get from hitting it? So now you got both working for you, pain and pleasure. Hey, when I get this, I get this prize. Hell, that's great. I want that prize. But if I don't, you're going to get eaten by alligators, but first you got to watch your family get eaten. Holy shit, fuck the prize. I got to get this done. You guys get it? Most of us would do more to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure. And you got to get leverage on yourself, which is how we started this whole thing. I think that was 5, right? Identify 5 to 10 others. No, that was 6. Okay. Right. Page or paragraph. 7. List top 5 to 10 of your goals, the 1-year goals, on a piece of paper. This is just the basic 80% rule that John mentioned earlier. Yeah. If you write down your goals, everybody, these 1-year goals that you believe have to happen for all the reasons why they do, and you do nothing else that I just asked. You don't do Nikola Tesla's thing. You don't do Agmandino. You don't write your page or paragraph. You don't do the whole dream list. You don't do the vision board. But you do write them all down in a manifestation form, in an affirmation form that presupposes that they've already happened. If you put that in your pocket today and look at it December 31st, 2021, you'll have accomplished 80% of your 1-year goals that you've written down. Okay? So don't feel terrible if you get lazy with this. I'm just letting you know we want to set you up for success. I don't want you to do nothing. If you can only do one thing, do that. Okay? Write them down as if they've already happened. Put them on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket. Fold it up. You never have to look at it again till the end of this year.
That's what you did with your house. That's what it was. That's why you drew it up, right?
Well, that wasn't like one of those 1-year deals, but I did just draw it and leave it.
I thought it was, you did it before it was a thing then. You were like the starter.
No, you know what? Like I had read Tony Robbins, John, and all this stuff. The 80% rule of thumb, I don't know where that came from. I didn't get that from Tony Robbins. Oh, no, that might have been Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar. But yeah, this stuff's been from the beginning, way before, man, all of us. This goes back to the early days, biblical days, manifestation. Create your goal. Oh, I'm changing the verbiage a bit, but create your goal coded program. Goal, Goal, code or coded, meaning program. Your goal coded program is your success mechanism or how you will go from point A to point B in the achievement of that goal through actions, through attitudes, and belief. And what it basically says is instead of me just writing my goals, you're going to write your goals on one side of this piece of paper, but on the other side of this piece of paper is an action plan, something that you have to do specifically daily. And attached to those actions are attitudes, thoughts to get you to go. So, for example, if one of my actions is to get into work every day and talk to 10 customers that potentially could buy my goods, that's an action. The attitude to get me to take that action is all customers are buyers all the time. Another attitude might be when it hurts the most, it's the most rewarding. Take this step. You understand? That whatever the attitude is that you have to think to get yourself to move, to sell yourself on moving. For me, a lot of it was do the things that the average people aren't willing to do, and you'll have a life that's much better than average. Do it. Do what most won't do. So that mechanism, that code or coded program is your goals attached to actions and attached to attitudes that will deliver you to where you want to go. So if you go from the 80% rule of thumb to this, to me, that guarantees 100%. Here's things that I'd like you guys to use, and I'll explain them after I list them. Ready? Music, meditation. All right? You can maybe put these in alphabetical if you want. A, music, things to use to help you. B, meditation. C, a morning routine. 4, C. D, D, a midday routine. E, evening routine and or journaling. So I think they're kind of one and the same. F, weekly review. G, monthly review. Guys, there's a lot here, right? There's a lot to do if you really get into this. If you ever need any help, I'm here to help you. There's no right or wrong. I think the why is very important. I think dates are very important. Recognition to a goal that's legal and or morally correct to you. Also a goal that you initiate and maintain. Some goals, somebody might say, and I'll give you an example of somebody who's done it, but to win $1 million in the lottery. I've seen people do it, and I've heard about them, but to me, that's not something you initiate and maintain. You buy the ticket, you use the manifestation, but that's harder, right? If you told me you're going to make $1 million, okay, I got you, good. But it's harder. But there's a Tony Robbins story he tells about. They said, Tony, you said, and he's like, I did say. Go ahead. And they won the lottery like 3 years in a row. 3 freaking years in a row. He had the name of the couple and everything. They quit their jobs, everything, and they just decided this is how it was going to go for them. And I can't imagine that working for everybody. But again, if you're 100% congruent, because I did give you a lot, I gave you some lesser things that you had to do. Because I gave it to you that way, because like I started to tell you about that guy, Greg Hahai, who helped change my life physically. Got to a certain age and I was puffier than I wanted to be. And I finally bought into this guy's system. The guy I told you that may or may not have been using medicine, but he was a strict dieter. He did everything perfectly. I kept looking for chink in his armor. I never found it. And to this day, he doesn't have it. What I found was I said to him right away, give me everything. Tell me everything I got to do, and I'll do it. Right? Anybody ever get really excited and then they get onto something and they say, oh, right, I'm there. Yeah, tell me everything. He goes, no. Now, what am I thinking? The skeptical, young. What's that? Why? Why? This is the skeptical, streetwise Dave Dini. Maybe. So, to maximize how much money he's going to make from me. This is the shit that's going on in this broken ass program, that I was working on making great program. And I still had that crap in my head. Charlie, you know who that is, right? When we first met you and the skepticism was out the roof. I mean, this is a healthy thing to talk about. We all have some of it. You got to have that. You're going to walk through life. Oh, hey, I got a bridge to sell you. Really? How much? $5. Great. So he goes, David, I can give it all to you, but most people are going to fail. They're going to fail because it's so much. He said, what I'd rather do, regardless of how many times you come to me, I'll give you this information, but I need you to know you got to get it done and you got to do it every time. And then I give you the next piece. I said, okay. Most of you heard the story. Yeah. The first thing was the gallon of water. He goes, just drink a gallon of water. I don't care what else you do. Eat whatever you want to eat. Do whatever you got to do. So I started drinking a gallon of water. Carried the jug around with me everywhere. And got that done. Within 2 or 3 weeks, I was working out with him too. He showed me how to lift and things. It was really different, but whatever, from what I was used to. And then the next thing he gave me was breakfast. And I said, and he wanted me to eat oatmeal and egg whites. And I go, oh, can I put some hot sauce on the egg whites? No, what are you, child? You need to put something tasty on it. No, you don't eat for taste. You eat for results. You don't. Okay. Can I eat Cheerios instead of oatmeal? I swear. Cheerios? Stop it. Don't waste my time. I hate oatmeal. I hated it. I got to eat oatmeal. He goes, you can start with bread. You can start with whole wheat toast. So I'm like, man, all right. I guess. So I finally got to the oatmeal. I had to choke it down. I don't know if anybody here hates oatmeal, but I hated it. So got breakfast out of the way. Next thing was lunch. Could be plain chicken, a little bit of pasta. It was okay to have carbs. Just you didn't want to eat too many. And then you could eat 2.5, 3 hours later, that same bowl of chicken and pasta. Okay. But that was all he gave me lunch. Then dinner was, clean steamed veggies with, again, chicken, maybe once or twice a week, a piece of fish, even a steak here or there. And then finally I got to before bed, which was another 8 to 10 egg whites and a couple pieces of toast. And this all took a while, and my body went through a transition. It was unbelievable. I went from 205 to 187, and then I went lifting and eating that way, but I was just eating more proteins to 216, 217, all in about 2 years. And then I was the strongest I had ever been in my life in my early 40s. And, I was powerlifting and doing all that crazy shit when I was younger, but all things being equal, I was in the best shape I ever was. Where am I going with all this? Back to use the pieces that I'm giving you strongly, use one at least. And if that's working for you, then add, if your morning rituals are going well and you got that down, boom, then go ahead and grab the afternoons. That's going good. Good. Grab your evenings. Journalize. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to do every one of these freaking things at once, because my feeling is it's going to be overwhelmed and then you won't do any of it. Yes. Oh, thanks. No, I was supposed to go back. We're almost done too. So music. I'm sure some of you, because I hear about your playlists and stuff. Having a good playlist, I think, puts you into that mesmerized state of feeling good. And I think it's really important when you've thought of, say you looked at your dreams, Johnny, and you went through that process of rehearsing them in your mind. And that's what you have to do every morning as part of your morning routine, is review your goals. And then you put them back in your pocket. And then at some point in that morning, you just are in silence, or you turn your music on. The music that motivates you, the music that makes you feel. It can even make you cry. Whatever that music does, it sends you off. You ever start liking a song and then you play it and you want to sing to it and shit, but your brain takes you off on some fucking tangent? And you're like, man, where'd the song go? I got to play it again. That kind of music. It moves me. And it moves me to want to destroy my dreams, like make them crazy great. I don't like referencing this guy. I'm going to do it. There was a time years ago in the 90s, and I would shut the lights off and turn I Believe I Could Fly from R. Kelly way up. I got a lot of songs like that now. But those are the songs that made me know like I was willing to do anything and everything for my dreams. When others would, I'm going to go home. I'm going to sleep it off. I don't feel like doing work today. They don't know that they're not living passionately. You got to live with passion, with emotion. It's got to matter, all of it. And then you got a chance. Because you only got this once. I'm 57 now. I look at a little baby's face that I want that baby to be able to tell stories about his grandpa. And I look at my kids' faces and I want them to be able to not just tell a story about, this guy, but no, this guy completed some shit. He did something. And I don't feel like I'm anywhere near where I need to be for that. So, I got my own things, and I know you guys do too. Lastly, so meditation fits in with the music. The morning routine I just kind of touched on, which is a review of your goals for the day. Midday, do it again. You just pull out that little piece of paper if that's all you got. Evening, same way, and then I journalize how my day went. And then the weekly review is just taking an accounting. Be quick about it. Promise yourself you do 5-10 minutes tops. And then monthly review too. Okay? And then the board meeting, I'll go into that with you guys privately. It's just another thing that you can do. But the board meeting suggests that there's a bunch of people in your head. There's a bunch of Haydens. Anybody got to go, it's okay. You got to go. There's just a bunch of Haydens in my head, or not in my head, in his head, a bunch of Charlie Alessi's in your head, not mine. But there's a spiritual one, a loving one, a fighter, a warrior, a salesman, whatever those are in you. You might have 10. And out of those 10, if they don't communicate well and get along, they're going to fight for time. And if there's an antagonistic conflict going on in your brain about who deserves the floor or who's going to, hey, this is my day. I'm the lazy F it off Dave Dini who just wants to sit around and watch the tube and relax. No, asshole. It's workout time, baby. You're not getting to do shit. I remember when you signed this contract in our board meeting, it says that date, that time. Go ahead. And then I get my time. Yeah, you get that time. Oh, now everybody's working together. You guys get it? Yeah. I know this sounds weird. No, it's true. This is how it works for me, man. It works for me. The party, Dave Dini, at the time when I wasn't married and I went through this, I got to be able to go out. I got to be in the clubs. I got to look good. I got to wear the right clothes. You'll have plenty of that when you accomplish this by Saturday night. You don't get it, you don't go out. Okay. Then that means no Wednesday. That means no Thursday. I mean, unless we're cranking. Okay. If we were cranking, dude, I found a place to go Wednesday night. I found a place to go Thursday night back in the day. Now, one other thing in this book, goes through the meditation and all that stuff. I'll just share one more little thing with you. I showed it with most of you. Relationships. Would like a serious partner that I loved as much as she loved me. And I wrote this in January 19. I wrote, I will fall in love this year. Here. I think it was on a pink piece of paper. Close relationships. To have someone I truly care for and cares for me fall in love this year. And that was January 1991 when I wrote this. On January 18th, and I'm not saying this to impress you, I'd be like, whoa, no way, come on. I'm telling you. January 18th, that's tonight, 1991, I was introduced to my wife. And we wound up going to Baker Square for lunch. And a year later to this day, so this is my 29th, not yet, that I met her, right? We had the year, but I've had 29 years of marriage on this day too. We married today, so that's tonight. Today, yeah. 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 Wow. So your brother was born in 91. How about that though, And I'm here with you guys. Why? I mean, that's cool. That's a date. I can take her out anytime. It doesn't have to be the day. What has to be is right. I got to be me. I got to make it happen for us. Right?
Routine,
Yes.
you gotta get it done,
Yes.
and then you go have fun.
Thank you. Right? The board meeting. These guys are, man, you guys see the fights that go on in this fucking head. And guess who wins sometimes? The shithead Dave Dini. He wins. Man, I see that sloth coming. I'm like, oh no. Right. So we all have it. Right. Put him in check. Give him his time though. Give him a little bit. All right. Now, lastly, and Hayden, go ahead and get out of here, kid. Thank you for hanging in. I know you got to go. The only other thing you can maybe come in and ask about, Hayden, is the dream board. Okay. We'll share it with you. You work tomorrow? Maybe somebody make sure they show them what we did. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
If you guys want to do it tonight, you can. You can do it tomorrow. I'll leave them in here. You guys will know. Nobody else will know but who's ever here. And once we do it, don't let people start going in and carving up our magazines and they don't even know what the hell we're doing yet. I got to show them this video first. But anybody that's here can do it. And all you're going to do is do something like I did. I want to be swole.
I'm gonna do my own.
I'm not going to, no, you don't have to do what I did. I mean, don't do what I did. Freak, that's weird.
Yeah,
Do your own version of a dream board. But I'm just kind of letting you know, like, I got this picture of a nice body. It ain't mine. And then I put these words: pumped, yoked, swole, massive. Those words meant something to me. I wanted to be massive and strong. And then Johnny, I was with John when we did this last time. I don't know who else was with us. Was Hosey? Not yet, I don't think. No, it was right when these clowns all robbed and stole and pillaged, and we were left with burning fires. Yeah. And then I wrote, I clipped this with back on top. Because I felt like I had been doing pretty well. Now I'm at the bottom. Guess what, baby? Back on top. Then I wrote fortune first. Right? We're gonna make our money. Leadership was gonna get this done with the word leadership. Investment. Money now. And I didn't write, I clipped this. All I want for Christmas. Then I got a picture of a car I wanted. I've blown past that in my mind, and cars aren't that important anymore because I've really sold on the fact that it's a depreciating asset. But when I got so much money that it doesn't matter, I got a different car I want. Then I've got this picture here on an old ass looking cell phone, 71 to 75 degrees every day. Yeah, absolutely. Or at least have the option, right? Or spending 3 months of winter or something. Game changers. It's what I want to be part of, changing the game. I think we're doing it. Think about it. Think about what we're doing. Every dealership you walk into, is there anything like us? No. Marketing magic. We were only doing radio. We weren't marketing. We're a marketing company. Give your edge. I clipped out. Then some watches. Pictures of some homes. Besides the home that I have, picture of a home I want that looks somewhere like this in someplace warm. And then best, egg whites, strength. Oh, this fell off. It said strength in numbers, meaning team. Oh, there it is. Strength in numbers there. Brand of the year. That's us, baby. All right. So again, thank you. I hope this helps. So our goal setting workshop 2021. Yes, let's go get it. Hey guys, thanks a lot for hanging around. Ivan, awesome.
I have this journal I've been doing for like the past year.
Yeah.
It's called the 5-minute journal. I got it off Amazon, and it starts off, and there's a morning section and an evening section. So you
Perfect.
start off, and they've got to fill in the date, and there's a quote, and then you start off. It goes, "I am grateful for," and 3 things. You got to list the 3 done things, and today would be great if 3 things happen.
Yeah.
That's your morning, and then there's some self-affirmation.
Taylor bought me that. My Taylor bought me that. I have a copy.
Yeah, and then at nighttime, obviously, you got to write 3.
I didn't follow up with it.
3 amazing things that happened in the day,
That's awesome.
It is good, but it kind of goes in line with everything with the morning. routine.
Absolutely. Absolutely, John. If you're journalizing, it just means you're paying attention, right? It means it's putting a focus on what I'm grateful for, because so many people walk around worried or what is not perfect in their life. And if you could just at least get to even, you're going to enjoy more of it. I'm going to tell you, people die. And I hate to be negative, but that's just life. And you're all going to die someday. But not everybody lives, not the way they want to. They don't quite enjoy it the right way. And if you think you're stacking it up to play tomorrow, no, my grandfather died at 96, said to me, sadly, Dave, I thought I was going to save all my money and all my time to enjoy the rest of my life with your grandmother in going and visiting and touring and everything. And at 76, she's dead. He goes, what did I do it all for? He goes, the time you have is when you're young. And what he said is, make money and have fun. It's the voice in that head, all the compartments, give them all their time. Well, how much fun? You know, oh, Dave, like you said, you got to have fun. Your ass. Fun for me is busting my ass here, creating a legacy. Maybe, though, it's different for you, whatever that might be. But be happy and grateful for what you have, and more will come. First chapter of my book, learn to fight with rocks. What's it mean? When you find a way to win with a handful of rocks, when you get the next tool, you'll destroy, but you already have enough. Find a way to win with what you have. Be grateful for what you have. Be happy with what you have, and more will come, for sure. All
I
right.
think one thing you forgot that you always pay attention
Yeah, tell me no.
is that you always give. You know when you give or receive.
Yeah, no, I didn't really bring up all the motivational things that we normally talk about. Operation Pretense, how to fake it till you make it, think I can when somebody says you can't. But to Charlie's point, one little thought, and it was brought up today actually, Charlie, by someone I was listening to earlier, and they were talking about, oh, it was because of Martin Luther King. It was talking about what something he had said was, whose life are you in the process of changing today? Who are you helping? And I thought that was pretty powerful, pretty profound. Who are you helping today? Is there somebody, anybody that you're helping today? And I think if you all think about it, we all are every day. It could be one nice thing you said to somebody at another dealership, or somebody you reached out to, you called, you haven't talked to in a while. But look for those opportunities, especially when you're feeling bad about you, when you feel like you're a sloth or you haven't been doing enough. And you feel like, who the hell wants to listen to me? I'm shit in my bed and I'm not doing anything right. No, take the time to help somebody else.
So how do you talk about that, Dave, when you're feeling like sloth or like shit, right? 'Cause that's the hardest part.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah.
Like what is it besides just you talking to yourself and like sparking your own fire in your ass to get going?
What do I do?
Yeah.
A couple things. One, I think, how much worse am I going to feel about me if I don't do anything to change this today? So I don't care what time of night it is, no matter how tired. If I got to go and said I was going to go do legs, I could tell you a story about me, but you asked. Then my ass is down there because I don't deserve to go to sleep at midnight to 1 a.m. doing it. And if I'm not feeling great about me and I'm kind of in that sloth zone, I will think about things that I'm avoiding to do that are positive. And I'll give you one that just surprised me because I knew I needed it. It's funny this comes up. Last night, my Aunt Terry, my mom's sister, died. And this is not to make anybody feel bad. It's funny, I was just talking about this stuff, though. She's 11 years older than me. She was the last one on that side of the family to die. My grandmother, their mother, was 63. My Aunt Sandy died several years ago, 63. My Aunt Terry was the only one. My mother died at 74 a few years ago. And my Aunt Terry's the only one that's left. And she's been sick. And my cousin Scotty called me It's his mom. And he was broken up. Although this is private talks, but this ain't going anywhere. You know, they had a strained relationship. And I know how the women in that family were. I had the same relationship with my mother. So he texted me. And I'm like, well, it's late. Maybe it's better I talk to him tomorrow. But what else was I thinking?
No, no.
Well, I don't feel like it right now. I can wait till tomorrow. So yeah, I said no. Maybe the kid needs me, you know, whatever. And you can't think so much of yourself that someone needs you, but you also can't think they don't. So I called him up, and you know what? It was great. And we laughed because we were talking about how crazy evil the women that raised us were. Even though they loved us more than anybody could love us, they had this side of them that's got this evil in them. Remember me talking, Johnny, sometimes about my evil? I go, Scotty, I don't know about you, man, but David, that's exactly how I feel. Oh, yeah. I go, I didn't see that from Aunt Terry. He goes, no, the same. And then they'd bitch at me. My mom would bitch me, slap me, and do all this crazy shit. And then I'd go to bed, and she's in there patting my head saying, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. Same thing. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? And we just started laughing, and he started laughing. And I said, listen to me. I know it's going to be hard to accept this. I said, but even if you went to her and talked about this, it's never about them. They wouldn't know how to deal with that. If they'd think you were a big wuss or something's wrong with you. Oh boy, Scotty's going through something. He just started laughing again. I said, fuck that. You did everything you could. You would have wasted your time. Your mother wouldn't have heard it anyway. And she doesn't even know. $1 million. So it was great. So that, again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but this is how I'm feeling. I'm being truthful.
You kind of just find the pain again, and like you put that pain and pleasure principle and pain more in your face, and that just makes you do it.
Yeah, and you just talk from your heart, and you don't try to make it their story. But I kind of knew what his was, you know, because he lived in the same kind of setting. Yeah, just listen,
Right.
and then if you got something to offer, you'll know it. You know, and a lot of times, like when I wanted to be coach of people, I wanted to help people. How do you help people? You know, who the hell am I? But then I realized the longer you live and the more experiences you have, guess what you wind up realizing? That most people probably have similar experience. Could be a little different, right? We could have grown up in different towns or different states, but we went through a lot of the similar things. So you got an opportunity to just offer a perspective. And when you do, guess what happens? And you're honest. They're like, oh shit, I never knew you went through shit like that. Oh yeah, I get it. Now you have a rapport, and now you can help somebody. So that was one big thing for me, is that I wanted to be a coach to people. I wanted to help. So
Let's see, you definitely did it.
I'm working on. Thank you. All right, gang. So anybody else got any questions though? That was a good question. How do you remember John's question was how do you get out of the sloth? And I don't know. I just know that I got to take action. Otherwise it's going to get worse. So I'll do something positive, right? Unless something positive happens that I just know I got to partake in. All right.
You do your meditation in the morning or at night?
Morning ritual.
Part of the morning.
Every morning. Yeah. The thing that I'll do at night, but I'll usually fall asleep in the middle of my prayer. I'll start thinking about my dreams and I'll say my prayer. I almost never get through it and I feel guilty, like I'm blowing off God's prayer. So I have a Hail Mary and Our Father, and I start messing up the words. I'm what I can't remember, you know, and then okay, concentrate, say the words. Just like it says to do in Og Mandino, never will I let the brevity of this scroll let me devalue it,
Yeah, right.
you know? So that's all I got. Cool, bang?
That's great.
All right. Thanks, guys and girls. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Drew, thanks for staying. Guys and girls, everybody that stayed, everybody that came back, thank you.
The next time we do this, I got some buddies.
That's what?
I got a buddy, you, we gotta zoom in, maybe on a personal note.
Yeah.
If you think, guys, if you think this was decent for you, and I know we all think similarly,
Absolutely.
maybe we do one like a mid-year something. I don't want to start saying we do it every quarter.
He texted me, he's like, hey, we talked tonight, and he knew.
Isn't that amazing though, that you're gonna be in a good frame to help them?
Oh,
I feel
dude,
sometimes
you know,
I felt better coming here too, because I wasn't thinking I was gonna make it, and then coming here, and then just doing it, like you said, it's like my motto,
Here, Ronnie.
above average.
Yeah, Johnny, do the next thing. You could have not, but you did. That's great. I'm glad you noticed that in yourself. Good.
See you all tomorrow.
Butt fucked him out of there. Fucked the slum right out.
Yeah, it's, it's easy not
Got a
to.
nice, dude, I'm telling you, man, it's like
Start.
between.
on what I've heard.
Dude, it's funny.
Yeah, you were-
I
you were-
I've been doing my morning routine. But like, I've been
But like, my thing is just, it's fucking great because I'm like, you know what? I mean, I just gotta
Ivar,
start.
where's the magazine?
Good, that's it. That's good. Funny. Perfect. Perfect. Just do this. Good. Good.
And then I'm gonna fucking
You
next
can
week,
add
I'm
another
gonna have
piece.
the night.
Yes.
But I'm like, you just gotta start and you gotta build.
Manny, I do the same thing. I gotta, dude, how many times do I stop working out? I don't go crazy. I gotta go gradual. I'm looking at it right now. Thank you. That's it, man.
It's like when you were saying that about the workout.
I don't think I ever did.
Exactly, because you're like, I wanna know.
I know. You can't fucking do it though.
Yeah, you gotta keep it separated. Keep it somewhere else.
Maybe not. I wasn't gonna do it. Big dog. Man, that's what I'm gonna hear, kid.